In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the new 2nd gen Annapro headset and comparing it to the 1st gen model. For all my reviews, I always like to try the product for at least a few weeks before making a review. So on this channel, you'll always get an honest review, and I always use the product in the real world. I'm going to be breaking this down by pros, cons, comparison of the two models, and most importantly, which is the most comfortable. So with that being said, let's jump right in.
This intro intentionally left blank.
Okay, so right off the bat, I'm just going to do a very basic comparison of the two models. So this first model you can see has this kind of faux leather padding here, the cushion. It sits a little bit lower. It's got a kind of wider cushion than the 2nd gen model. Here we go. And then if I compare it to this one here, you can see this one has more of an arch. The cushion is this cushion that they are calling Ice Silk, I believe. So here you can kind of see the shape both of them have. The bottom one is the version 1, the top one is the version 2. And you can see this one just kind of, has a little bit shorter pad. And one of the new design features that you can see, it has this kind of little gap here. So there's a little bit room for it to bend once it sits on your head like this. But besides that, it kind of looks the same. And here you can see a little bit of a height comparison. The shorter one is the 1st gen model, and then the taller one is the 2nd gen model. So you can see how much higher it is. There we go, just like that. The second one is a little bit taller, and that has pros and cons, which I'll get to in a little bit. So in terms of the feel, I would say the second one here has kind of a softer, I guess you could say more premium feel to the plastic. This 1st gen one here, I mean, not that it feels bad or anything, but it feels more just like typical plastic here. Whereas this one feels just a little bit more upgraded. Also, the 1st gen model comes with a 10mm and a 15mm cushion. The 2nd generation model comes with 5, 12, 18, and 25mm cushions, according to their website. But the one that I got on the box says that it comes with a 10, 15, 20, and 25mm cushion. So which one of those it is, I don't know. I did get mine several weeks ago, so maybe they've changed it by then. But the point is that it comes with 4 cushions, so it's a little bit more customizable for different heads. Okay, so that was a very quick comparison of the looks and specs of the two different versions. And so now I'm going to move on to the pros of the new 2nd generation Annapro headset. So pro number 1 to me is the looks. Even though they both did look good, to me, the second one just looked a little bit better. I feel like it fit into the design of the Vision Pro a little bit better. And overall, it's just kind of a nicer, sleeker look overall. Okay, and so now pro number 2, the installation is still very easy. It slides on very smoothly without any issues, and you're pretty much up and running, honestly, in about 5 minutes. This is a big pro to me because of all the headsets that I've now tried. I mean, a lot of these things take, 15, 20 minutes. There's a ton of parts. They're big, they're clunky, they're heavy. There's a lot of things to adjust, and they don't give very good instructions. Whereas with Annapro, go to their website. They always have good instructions, but you really don't need it because all you're literally doing is just sliding the headset on and you're set and you're ready to go. Okay, so pro number 3, the comfort. Is it comfortable? Yes. However, stick with me and watch to the end because there are comparisons to this headset and other headsets, including the 1st gen version. But it is a pro that it is comfortable. You can wear it for several hours, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. Okay, so now let's move on to the cons. So con number 1, this is a very small one, but I do have to mention it. So it is intentional, but the 2nd generation model slides forward and back a tiny amount. On their website, it says that it is intentional and that it can slide forward and back 5mm for added comfort and to adjust itself to different size heads. But to me, it just seemed like a tiny bit too loose, almost like the headset didn't fit the Vision Pro. There was a lot of times where I would pick it up and I would kind of have to like reseat it in. Very small thing, but I do have to bring that up because I'm sure some of you will buy it, use it, not know that, and you might even think that it doesn't fit as snugly as the 1st gen model, because it doesn't. On the first gen model, you slid it in, it was very tight snug, it didn't move. But on the second one, there is that 5mm wiggle room, which is intentional, but it just seemed a little too loose in my opinion. So as usual with my reviews, a pro is also a con. And in this case, the last con is the comfort. Because even though, yes, it is comfortable, I feel like I had a similar situation to other headsets that I've worn, in that it's not comfortable immediately. It takes a little getting used to. You have to adjust things. And here's my story with it. So the second I got it, I put it on, I slipped it on my head, and initially I felt like it was more ergonomic to my head, that it just kind of fit a little bit better, and it felt comfortable. But the first day I was like, oh, this is great. It looks great. I think it looks better than the other one. It looks a little bit cooler, and you slip it on. I like the cushion and the padding, and it was comfortable, and so, I didn't think much of it. But on the second day, when I started getting more real world usage out of it, after about an hour or so, it got uncomfortable. And so I kind of went back to something a lot of Vision Pro users know, is that you put it on and you start fidgeting with it, you start tweaking it, and you start tightening it and loosening it and trying to get it to be a little bit more comfortable. And I ended up on this day, after day 2, emailing them and telling them, the problems I was having, and they did respond, have great customer service, and got back to me with questions and things like that, even asked me to, send them a video of how I'm wearing it and photos and things like that. But by that point, I'd actually figured it out on my own. And what I did is I ended up switching from the 15mm cushion that it came with to the 20mm cushion. And that made a huge difference. So the next day, I wore it again, I worked, I used it the way I would normally use my Vision Pro, and it was a lot more comfortable. It easily gave me another hour of use. However, here's where things started getting a little funny. I would say I could wear it easily 2 to 2.5 hours or so, but that's when I started sort of noticing it again. Whereas with the first generation headset, what I loved about it is that I would put it on, no issues. I would totally forget that I'm wearing the Vision Pro. I could just work. And then next thing you know, the little prompt would pop up that 20% of my battery is remaining, and then I would close it, and then the 10% prompt, and I could just work on it and I wouldn't notice it at all. This was a little bit different in that right around 2 hours or so, 2 to 2.5 hours, I started noticing it, and I would start tweaking it, and it wasn't uncomfortable like you say how I felt the solo loop was. It was uncomfortable enough that you noticed it, which in my opinion, that's too uncomfortable, if that makes sense. I think you should be able to put on the Vision Pro and forget about it, and that's it. So in terms of the comfort level, I felt like it was comfortable. It was just as comfortable as a lot of headsets. I would say it's on a similar level as maybe the dual band that the Apple headset comes with. And it had that kind of weird thing about certain headsets that one day it's comfortable, one day it's not. One day you completely forget about it, the next day it's uncomfortable after an hour. And so that is my perspective on the comfort and why I think that's a con compared especially to the first one. But also I want to add this last little thing. I feel like the cushions, I don't know if they're that different than the first gen one, different material, but I almost feel like the cushions had a little bit more of a break-in period, because even though the first day or two with the 20mm pad that I changed it to, even though I had some discomfort there, I felt like over the next couple days, it did get more comfortable, but I could never get past that kind of 2.5 hour mark before I started noticing it and before I started wanting to kind of like take it off and take a little bit of a rest. So in terms of some of my final thoughts, is this more comfortable than the first generation Annapro headset? I would say no, it is not more comfortable. However, after having tried a ton of headsets now, a lot of which I'd never even made a video for, but one thing I've learned about trying all these things is that everyone's head is different. And so just like the head straps that come with the Vision Pro, the Solo Band, I absolutely hated that one. It was never comfortable for me. Some people have put that on from day one and they love it. I liked the dual band. Some people hate that. The first gen Annapro, I absolutely love it. I think it's like the perfect head strap for me. Some people have tried that one and don't like it. So head straps are a very tricky thing. So in terms of recommended one or the other, I would say for two reasons. One, the cost. The first generation one is only $36. The second gen one is $50. Also, another small thing is because the second gen one is a little bit taller, it's harder to get inside any case. Like I couldn't fit it into my case, whereas the first gen one lays a little bit lower. So it's, you know, if you have a case, it's very likely it's going to fit there. So I would say maybe try the first gen one first because of those two reasons. And if it fits, keep it. If not, maybe try the second gen model. But I will say this, one thing I do like about the Annapro headsets, I would still recommend them, and I do recommend them to everyone for another simple fact that they are just very simple headsets. A lot of these headsets have, you know, like 20 different parts. They have a back pad, you strap the battery to the head, they have like 5 straps, and you're sitting there for God knows how long trying to find the perfect adjustments for all these different things that you can tweak. Whereas this, you just put it on and that's it. You might change out the different cushions and then you'll be set. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. Is for me, I prefer the first gen over the second gen model, but it is still comfortable. It still is simple, easy to use, easy to install. Okay, so those are my thoughts on the new second gen Annapro headset. I do have affiliate links below if you decide to get one. And again, this is a new channel. Hope you got something out of it. So like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all later.